Imagine your mind as a radio, invisible waves moving through space, each frequency carrying a unique signal. Now, imagine that your thoughts are tuned to a single frequency, one person, and no matter how much you try to change the station, the signal keeps returning. What if this isn't random? What if constantly thinking about someone is not a coincidence, but a reflection of an energetic and unconscious connection? Carl Jung, the pioneer of analytical psychology, believed that behind every repetitive thought lies a deeper psychological truth. When a person keeps showing up in your mind, it's often the unconscious trying to reveal something about your inner life. Jung would say that this is not merely about that person. It's about you, your psyche, and what's seeking to be acknowledged. In Jungian terms, the mind works through symbols. When you think about someone constantly, that person may represent an archetype, a universal pattern of energy that lives in the collective unconscious. They might embody your anima, the inner feminine in a man, or your animus, the inner masculine in a woman. Sometimes the person you can't stop thinking about isn't the other, but a mirror reflecting a part of yourself that's calling to be integrated. From a spiritual perspective, this experience can also feel like an energetic resonance, a soul connection that defies logic or time. The vibration of one being touches another, activating emotions, memories, and lessons that exist beyond the physical. Yet, even in this mystical interpretation, the Jungian view aligns. The external world mirrors the internal one. What we call energy may simply be the movement of the unconscious, drawing attention to what is divided or incomplete within us. Think of this as a form of synchronicity, Jung's term for meaningful coincidence. When inner and outer worlds align, reality itself becomes symbolic. You think of someone, and suddenly they text you, or you hear a song that reminds you of them. It's not causation, it's communication between your psyche and the universe. But what is it saying? Often, it's a message of transformation. The person who wanted to leave your thoughts might be the symbol your unconscious uses to awaken your awareness, to confront hidden emotions, unhealed wounds, or desires you've repressed. Ask yourself, what emotion arises when you think of this person? Is it longing, fear, admiration, or anger? Each emotion is a clue. The unconscious speaks in feelings, not words. By observing these emotions without judgment, you begin to decode your inner language, the symbolic system that governs your soul's evolution. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Your persistent thoughts might be that very mechanism, the psyche directing your attention to what still lies in the dark. Let's take a simple example. You meet someone briefly, yet they stay in your mind for weeks. You barely know them, but the connection feels charged. What's really happening? It could be that this person embodies an archetype, perhaps the lover, the healer, or the shadow, that resonates with a part of your soul yearning to awaken. In that case, your mind fixates not because of who they are, but because of what they represent, your own unexpressed energy-seeking manifestation. This is the paradox of consciousness. We project what we cannot yet see within ourselves. The person who fascinates you might be showing you your own potential, your power, your vulnerability, or your fear of rejection. Spiritually, this reflection is sacred. It's a mirror placed by the universe to help you grow. The key is to shift your question from, "Why can't I stop thinking about them?" to, "What are they showing me about myself?" And if these words resonate with you, pause for a moment. Breathe. You are already listening to your inner voice. If you feel inspired by this reflection, consider subscribing to this channel. Here we explore the meeting point between spirituality, Jungian psychology, and the mysterious intelligence of the unconscious mind. Because sometimes, the most powerful connections are not between two people, but between your consciousness and your soul's calling. When Carl Jung explored the mysteries of the unconscious mind, he described it as a vast ocean, timeless, collective, and filled with archetypal forces that move beneath the surface of our awareness. From this ocean rise images, symbols, and emotions that shape our thoughts and experiences. So when you find yourself constantly thinking about someone, it may not be a coincidence at all, but rather a wave from that deeper ocean rising into consciousness, bringing with it something sacred and unresolved. Think of it this way. Your mind is a mirror, and every thought about another person is a reflection of your own inner world. If one face keeps appearing in that mirror, it is not about the reflection itself, it is about what is being shown to you. Jung would say that this is projection in action. We project our inner patterns, desires, and wounds onto others, believing we are drawn to them, when in truth, we are meeting parts of ourselves. Let's say you can't stop thinking about someone who inspires you, their confidence, their creativity, their freedom. Often this means you're seeing a disowned part of yourself, a quality that wants to emerge within you. You are not obsessed with that person. You are being called to reclaim that energy inside you. On the other hand, if the person you think about triggers discomfort, frustration, or even pain, then they may represent the shadow. Those aspects of your personality you've rejected or suppressed. Jung called the shadow the thing a person has no wish to be. When we deny our anger, fear, or jealousy, these emotions don't disappear. They hide in the unconscious, waiting to be recognized. And sometimes they wear the face of someone else. This is why thinking about someone repeatedly can be so intense. It is not just a mental loop. It's an emotional summons from the psyche. The person becomes a symbol, carrying an energy that needs to be integrated. Once that integration happens, once you accept what that person represents within you, the obsessive pull often fades. From a spiritual standpoint, this process is equally profound. In the language of energy, thoughts are vibrations, living currents of intention that connect us across time and space. When two people share a deep energetic resonance, their fields interact, and thoughts can pass between them like signals. You think of them, and they think of you. You dream of them, and they appear in your life unexpectedly. This is where Jung's idea of synchronicity and spirituality merge. Jung defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidence, the meeting of inner and outer realities in a way that transcends cause and effect. So if you think of someone and suddenly see their name, hear their song, or receive a message, it is not mere chance. It is the unconscious and the universe speaking the same language. However, synchronicity is not just about romance or destiny. It's about awareness. The more conscious you become of your inner life, the more clearly you perceive the symbolic nature of reality. You realize that the universe is not random, it is reflective. It mirrors your energy, your emotions, your state of consciousness. Here is an example. You wake up thinking about someone you haven't seen in years. Later that day, you see something that reminds you of them, or you receive a message from an unknown number that feels oddly connected. Instead of jumping to conclusions about fate, ask yourself, what emotion is being mirrored right now? What energy within me is asking for recognition? This practice transforms fixation into reflection. It brings power back to you. Because when you recognize that the outer world is a projection of the inner, you stop chasing meaning outside and start listening to your soul. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of integrating all parts of the psyche into a harmonious whole. Individuation is not about perfection, it's about wholeness. Every thought, every connection, even every obsession, can serve as a doorway to deeper awareness. In daily life, this looks like noticing patterns. Maybe you always think of someone when you feel lonely, or when you're about to make a big decision. Maybe their image appears in dreams or during meditation. These are not random mental flickers, they are symbols of guidance. The psyche is telling you, pay attention, there's meaning here. One of the most powerful ways to work with this is active imagination, a Jungian technique for dialoguing with the unconscious. When that person comes to mind, close your eyes and imagine speaking with their image. Ask, what do you represent for me? Then listen, not for literal answers, but for feelings, colors, sensations. The unconscious speaks in images, not logic. You might discover that the person represents your creativity, your longing for connection, or your unresolved pain. Spiritually, this is a practice of energetic awareness. Every time you think of someone, you send a wave of energy outward. By observing this energy without attachment, you begin to reclaim it. Instead of being pulled by the thought, you become the observer. Calm, centered, aware. You might also try this. The next time someone invades your thoughts, instead of resisting it, Place your hand over your heart and say quietly, "I see you. I feel this energy, and I let it return to peace." That simple act transforms projection into presence. Because ultimately, the person you cannot stop thinking about is not the one holding power over you. It has your own unconscious energy seeking reconciliation. And once you bring light to that shadow, you find freedom. Jung once wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." The constant thought of someone might be that darkness calling you, not to suffer but to awaken. If you've ever experienced this kind of deep mental or emotional connection, take it as a sign that your soul is ready to evolve. Each thought becomes a mirror, each feeling a message. And if this reflection resonates, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Here we journey through Jungian depth psychology, spiritual transformation, and the mystery of human energy, exploring how every connection, seen or unseen, leads us back to the truth of who we are. Because sometimes, thinking of someone constantly isn't asked about the person at all. It is about your own awakening. There comes a moment in this inner journey when you realize that the person you have been thinking about so persistently was never the destination. They were the path. The constant thoughts, the emotional intensity, even the synchronicities all point toward one thing: your own transformation. Carl Jung taught that every relationship, every projection is an opportunity for growth. When someone lingers in your mind, they are serving as a mirror of your unconscious, helping you see what's been hidden. The more you resist the thought, the more power it gains. But when you face it with awareness, curiosity, and compassion, it begins to dissolve. And what remains is wisdom. So what can you actually do when you can't stop thinking about someone? The first step is not to suppress it, but to observe it consciously. Watch your thoughts as if you were watching clouds move across the sky. Notice when the image of that person appears, what emotions arise, and how your body responds. Do you feel warmth, tension, longing, sadness? Every sensation is a message from the unconscious. The second step is acceptance. Jung reminded us that healing comes from embracing, not rejecting, what is unconscious. When you accept that this person occupies your mind for a reason, even if you don't yet understand it, you shift from resistance to understanding. You stop being a victim of the thought and become a student of its meaning. Third comes integration. This is where the work of transformation truly begins. Integration means asking yourself, what does this person symbolize for me? Maybe they represent passion, freedom, or the courage you've suppressed. Maybe they awaken your vulnerability, reminding you that you can still feel deeply. Whatever it is, the key is to bring that energy back home, to embody it yourself rather than seek it in another. From a spiritual perspective, constantly thinking about someone can also signify a soul contract, a temporary energetic connection created for mutual learning. Souls cross paths to awaken parts of each other that might otherwise remain dormant. But once the lesson is understood, the energy naturally releases. That's why, over time, many of these intense connections fade not because they were meaningless, but because they have fulfilled their purpose. When you begin to reclaim your energy, something shifts. The thought loses its emotional charge. You can think of the person without pain or longing, just clarity. What once felt like a storm becomes a still lake, reflecting your inner peace. In that stillness, you realize it was never about them. It was about you remembering yourself. Here's a powerful exercise to help you complete this process. When that person enters your thoughts, close your eyes and visualize a golden thread connecting your heart to theirs. Breathe deeply. With each exhale, imagine sending love and gratitude through that thread. Thank them, not for what happened, but for what you learned. Then, as you continue to breathe, visualize that golden thread gently dissolving into light. You are not cutting or breaking it. You are transforming it. The energy returns to you, purified, whole, peaceful. This act symbolizes energetic closure. It doesn't mean forgetting the person. It means honoring the connection for what it taught you and allowing both souls to move freely. Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Thinking constantly about someone is one of those reactions, a chemical, spiritual, and psychological process that catalyzes transformation. When you emerge from it, you are no longer the same person who began the journey. From the standpoint of depth psychology, this is individuation in motion, the unfolding of the self. Every connection, every emotional echo, brings you closer to the wholeness that was always within you. And from the standpoint of spirituality, it's the realization that we are all connected through energy, symbols, and meaning. Each thought is a thread in the tapestry of consciousness, weaving our experiences together beyond time and space. So if you find yourself thinking of someone even now, take a breath and smile. Instead of wondering, why can't I stop thinking of them? Whisper to your soul, what are you showing me through this? That shift in awareness changes everything. The thought becomes guidance, not obsession. Connection, not attachment. You begin to live from a higher state of consciousness, one where every experience, even the painful ones, becomes part of your spiritual evolution. You learn to recognize the sacred in the ordinary, a memory, a dream, a name that echoes at the right moment. You learn to trust the rhythm of your psyche and the language of your soul. In the end, constantly thinking about someone is not a curse. It's a mirror of awakening. The universe uses these reflections to lead you back to yourself. And when you finally see it, when you truly understand, the obsession fades like mist under the morning sun, leaving behind only clarity and gratitude. Because love, whether it manifests through longing, memory, or silence, is never wasted. Every connection, real or imagined, becomes a bridge toward greater awareness. And that is the essence of Jung's message. The journey is always inward. If this message resonates with you, remember, you are not alone in this path. Many are awakening to the hidden language of the unconscious and the mysterious bonds of energy that unite us all. So stay connected, stay conscious, and if this exploration touched you, subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who may need it. Leave a comment below and tell us, what do you think your soul is trying to tell you through the people you can forget? Because sometimes the person who occupies your mind is not your destiny, but your teacher, and when the lesson is learned, what remains is love, awareness, and peace.